Hey, everybody. This is Priscilla, your resident veterinarian and lawyer, and I want to talk to you today about veterinary interns and residents and why they're ready to hit the transfer portal. This one goes out to my veterinary colleagues and maybe even my human medical colleagues too. They may have something to say about this. So, I want to update you about a case that was recently filed in the United States District Court of Virginia, Western District of Virginia, this past April. And it's basically an antitrust lawsuit saying that certain defendants, and I'll name them in a minute, conspired together to suppress the ability for veterinary interns and residents to obtain their positions, their internship and residency positions. That these defendants suppress wages by sharing information early, and that because of this, wages are lower for residents and for veterinary residents and interns. They don't have as much negotiating power and leverage when it comes to their residencies and interns, and they aren't able to move around should they need to during their internship or residency. So let's talk about it. So who are these people that filed this lawsuit? Well, first of all, it's a class action lawsuit. So it covers a period of time for several years. But it was filed by two people initially. Riley Amore, who worked as a veterinary intern for two places, Dallas Veterinary Surgical Center, actually, which I know of that place, and the Virginia Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine. It was also filed by Caroline Parker, who interned at the Texas Equine Veterinary Hospital. So both of these plaintiffs are saying again that the veterinary internship and residency matching program, I've always called it the VRIMP. I didn't apply to it. My goals were not to practice medicine or get a residency at the time, so I did not apply to the matching program. It's not actually required for veterinary graduates. I repeat, internships and residencies are not required for veterinary graduates. You can basically graduate from vet school having never done surgery, having ever really worked up a case other than as a student under the guidance and the supervision of your professor, and you can go out and actually touch and practice on people's animals without any mentorship, supervision, or additional training. We'll talk about that another time, but it is not required. So going to these internship and residency programs for veterinarians is optional. And the main reason that people do it is so that they have an opportunity to specialize. Say a veterinarian wants to be a surgeon, a veterinary surgeon. Now, they're veterinarians. You may take your dog or cat to a veterinarian and they may do surgery like a spay, which is removing the reproductive organs of a female animal, or a neuter, which is removing the reproductive organs of a male animal, or other, basic or sometimes even more complex procedures. But if you want to be a surgeon who does more advanced procedures, generally, this is not everywhere, you may want to get additional training through an internship or residency. So these, and another thing, you do not have to do it at a teaching hospital or at a hospital. It can be at a private practice. It can be, a lot of these places are at corporations, and some of them were actually named in the lawsuit as well. So let's go down to the named defendants in the lawsuit. They sued the American Association of Veterinary Clinicians, Solution Innovations, VCA Animal Hospitals Incorporated, Blue Pearl Operations, MedVet Associates, Red Bank Veterinary Hospital, the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine, Cummins School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University, Pathway Vet Alliance, and the Animal Medical Center. And that does not even include everybody. That's just who they named in the initial document of the lawsuit. I think they actually say that that can encompass more defendants. So anyway, and actually another note is that the Association of Veterinary Clinicians actually encompasses several other veterinary schools. So a lot of institutions, a lot of public universities, private universities, a lot of corporations are getting sued. They are getting sued because these individuals, and in totality, a class of people over a period of time, allege that this group is suppressing wages. They're keeping these interns and residents from making the money that they should, from being able to negotiate their jobs, from being able to move around. So yes, let's talk about how much these interns and residents were making. These interns and residents. So Riley, I'm gonna say Dr. Amor. I'm gonna give her, her credit. She's a DVM. I believe Riley's a female. If you're not, my apologies. But yes, Riley was making $30,000 for her salary. And just so you know, this internship in veterinary medicine, an intern is only 1 year. And you're not guaranteed to stay after that for a residency. There's no such thing as a fellowship in veterinary medicine. It's usually your internship. You may even do a specialty internship. And then after that, you may apply for a residency. Again, this is not a required path that doctors of veterinary medicine have to go down. It is optional. So anyway, Riley was making only $30,000 at the DVSC. I know they're called the DVSC because I used to live and work in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I know people who also did internships at the DVSC. Anyway, Dr. Amor was only making $30,000. This is at a veterinary surgical center where they do surgeries in the tens of thousands of dollars on a regular basis. So she was making $30,000. That's what she made. At the university, actually, she made more, which was $36,000, which is interesting because, universities don't have as much money generally as a private established company that's charging, like I said, tens of thousands of dollars every day in these surgeries. But she was making a little more there. Dr. Caroline Parker actually was getting paid $50,000 during her internship. This is at an equine hospital in Texas. So congrats to the equine people. You guys maybe getting paid more to do that work. So anyway, what do I think about this entire case? Well, this is not my legal opinion. This is as a colleague. I actually think the problems with this that they're alleging with the program actually exist in a different form or format. Okay, what I mean by that is, look, veterinarians do not have to do these match programs. Okay, they don't have to be interns, they don't have to be residents. Actually, you technically don't have to do any of this if you want to become board certified. And you're not required to be board certified if you want to practice in a specialty. You just can't say that you're a specialist, right? So if you do ophthalmology, which is looking at the eyes, doing surgery, doing work on the eyes, the study of the eyes. If you want to do dermatology, which is the skin, you do not have to go through these programs. You technically could work for several years under the tutelage of a specialist or someone who has been trained or done or has finished a residency. You don't have to be board certified. And just because you're board certified doesn't always mean that you know what you're doing either. So I'm not trying to take credit away. I know amazing board certified doctors. I know amazing residency trained doctors. So, and I know plenty of general practitioners who have never even done an internship or a residency, and they go around pretty much doing any type of procedure they want to do. Some of them are good at it, and some of them probably should not be doing it. But I digress. So you don't have to do these. You really don't. And another thing is, if you decide to go through this program, I believe the uniformity in the salaries being visible to everybody, I think that's a good thing, to be honest, because would you want all these programs taking it behind the scenes, talking about the salaries without making them public? Like, these salaries at the internship and residency program, they are made public. So you can go online and find out what everyone is paying. I honestly, when you're looking at the human side, We can talk about that in another topic, human medicine versus veterinary medicine when it comes to internships and residencies. But they're going to be paid a little bit more than veterinarians, but they have to go through these programs. Human doctors have to go through residency and likely fellowship, and they have to take their board certification. If they go, they usually will take the board certification. So you can also, even though the claim is that they're suppressing salaries, you do know that you can negotiate your own salary, or as a group demand that you get paid more. You may or may not get paid more. And a lot of these places, these corporations, they're backed by private equity. Some of them may be public companies. They have money. They have money. So I don't know why they shouldn't be offering $30,000. I know that much for a salary. So that's just my opinion. They have way more money than that. The trade-offs, when you think of, when I always thought of internships and residencies, was it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Generally, these doctors who complete these internships and residencies do go on to become board certified, or they're board eligible, and they can practice under the auspices of having done these training programs, and they can command a higher salary, much higher than a lot of general practitioners will ever make. And a lot of these doctors who go through this training don't intend to be general practitioners. So it's, in my opinion, it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. I think the conversation should revolve around negotiating salaries, better negotiation. I do think that, being able to move around during your residency, I think it's a good thing. Hence, entering the portal. Transfer portal, I do think that should be an option during your residency without any type of penalty. And I do think it's important to have some type of uniform standard to match with a program, but making sure there is enough wiggle room that, hey, if you don't match, you may not have to wait as long to talk to programs that, where they didn't match with their top candidates, and you might not have matched with your top choice. So I do think there is some wiggle room. I don't know what the outcome of this case may be. I don't know how much evidence the plaintiffs or those who are suing have to prove the intention to be anti-competitive. I don't know any of that. But to me, a lot of the issues revolve around, can these companies pay these interns more? They probably won't ever pay them the starting salary of veterinarians, which I also think needs to go up. But I think these, especially the companies, I don't know about the universities, their funding isn't always there, but I think the companies can pay more. And I also expressed my opinion on, being able to move around. Some of the bigger issues revolve around, once some of these residencies are completed, some of these companies may require the doctors to stay on for a period of time to work for them. So we pay for your residency, we train you, but then you have to give us so many years, like the military. You have to give us so many years in return, and if you leave early, then you have to pay money back. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that should be required. I think that puts, I think that actually does suppress wages, because, there are only so many residencies out there, and people want to get the training. And you're saying that if we give you these 3 years, then you have to give it back to us. And not only that, we're going to only pay you so much. And then if you leave early, we give you any type of signing bonus or anything like that, you owe us. If we help give you time off to study for your boards, you owe us. I think that is exploitation. And I think that deserves a closer look by those who are going through it. So those are my opinions. I think I might make a video about comparing med school to vet school, but I have some family out there who may be able to help me with that conversation, whether they want to help me with it online or offline. But I think this is a discussion that needs to be had. I want to know what you think. Do you think these veterinary interns and residents are being treated fairly? Do you think the short-term sacrifice is worth the long-term gain when it comes to salaries? Do you think they should have better negotiating factors when it comes to matching with these internships and residencies? Are you an intern or resident? How was your experience? Again, I told you all earlier, I did not go through the match. I didn't want to go through the match. I probably could have, tried it, but I didn't want to do that. My goal was to do research. I also have my public health degree. I've studied abroad, done research abroad, and I knew at some point I wanted to go into policy, which is why I'm an attorney. So kudos to all of you who go through the match. I know it's a very stressful process, but there are ways that you can make sure that you have sound agreements and that, that you are treated fairly. So that's all I have for now. So let's see, these veterinary interns and residents, they said they want to enter the transfer portal. So we'll see what happens with this case.